CBS Sports, your 2018 home of March Madness. The Masters, the PGA Championship, PGA Tour, SEC football, the NFL, and February 3rd, Super Bowl 53.
In just about a half hour from now, American football takes center stage across the pond in London as the Titans face off against the Chargers on the pitch, or as we call it, the field, at Wembley Stadium.
Well, there's Tennessee's Marcus Mariota, 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions this year, only 138 yards passing the game, going against one of the best defenses in the LA Chargers today over there in London.
Philip Rivers is looking for a 4th straight win, and they're 4-2. They've won 3 in a row, and Philip has completed 68% of his passes.
Hey, it's a top 5 offense versus the top 5 defense, and there's Keenan Allen, the leading receiver for the Chargers, 36 catches, 434 yards, and 1 touchdown.
Wow.
Stand by to move right. Ready, 1, take 1. Stand by to bring it back. Take 4.
Well, we scored on 43.
3, 2, 1.
And hello, everyone. I'm James Brown. Welcome to a special edition of the NFL Today, powered by Ram Trucks. Now, for those of you expecting CBS Sunday Morning, it will return next Sunday to its regular time slot at 9 a.m. Eastern, right here on CBS. But with football taking center stage, let's get you caught up with Week 7 headlines. Tea and crumpets are on the tailgating menu this morning as London's #1 football venue, that would be Wembley Stadium, hosts an AFC clash between the Tennessee Titans and the Los Angeles Chargers. One of the NFL's most storied rivalries continues this afternoon at FedEx Field as Dallas and Washington, both coming off of impressive wins, look to gain some traction in the NFC East. Todd Gurley and the Rams look to continue their impressive start to the season as they bring their undefeated 6-0 record up north to take on their NFC West rivals from San Francisco. Meanwhile, here inside of Studio 43, I'm joined at my desk by the guys. Of course, we start first with the coach. That would be Bill Cowher, Phil Simms, and Boomer Esiason. Nate Burleson, by the way, is in London at Wembley Stadium. We'll hear from him momentarily. Meanwhile, Melvin Gordon out for the Chargers today.
Yeah, I wish we would have sent Phil over to London, but I will say this, that even without Melvin Gordon, this is one of the more dynamic offenses, and certainly Melvin's one of the best players at the running back position. Later on, we're going to talk about running backs in this segment because of how important they've become in the NFL, but there's Austin Eckler. He's their backup. He's carried the ball 41 times. He's caught 14 passes out of the backfield. They will not lose much with him in their offense.
Yeah, and I like you too, Boomer, but let me tell you the good news for the Los Angeles Chargers. They got a very good offensive line in front of Philip Rivers, and he hadn't had that in a while. They're very creative on the offensive side. Lots of movement, different personnel. Ken Wisenhunt doing an excellent job keeping the defenses off guard.
And on the other side, but Phil, Tennessee is a team that has struggled to score. They've only got 5 offensive touchdowns for the year, and shot out the last 2 weeks. And there you're going to see Marcus Mariota. He's been dealing with an elbow injury, which affected him gripping the ball. He's only got 2 touchdown passes, 4 interceptions. And Dion Lewis, to me, could be the X factor out of the backfield. Also a guy that can rush the ball behind Derrick Henry. And Jarrell Casey, you're talking about a guy who has to put pressure on Philip Rivers in the pocket. Jarrell Casey, 3 sacks, 5 tackles for loss. And this defense is 3rd in the National Football League in points per game.
Good to see, even with an early start, these two still get along well. Is that true?
Same as normal, JB. Same as normal.
Unbelievable. Hey, folks, as we mentioned, Nate is in London for the game and getting a feel, if you will, of the scene over there. And we head out now live to Wembley and welcome in our colleague, Nate Burleson, who's got a feel for the atmosphere. Hello, Nate.
Hey, what's going on, JB? You're right. I do have a feel for the atmosphere. First, let me say I do miss you guys. I can't see you right now, but I know that you look great. And Boom, of course, is looking amazing, as he always tells us. But I've been here, and I've been enjoying this. You know, I came out, my wife as a player. I didn't have an opportunity to play here. But now, removed from the game, I just see and I feel the energy from all of these fans. As I'm sitting outside, I spent the last 2 hours tailgating, if you will. And fans, they're getting me caught up on the culture, the royal history of the game, and trying to teach me about the Queen and what that means and what she means. But I can't help but think, when talking about royalty, that football is king, and it truly is, because the international fan base, it's big and it's huge, and these guys are so passionate. Literally, fans shaking, tears running down their face saying, thank you. We want to be recognized because we love the NFL so much.
Nate, thank you so much. We will look forward to the call of the game, and you're enjoying that over there as well. Hey, before we get started, Boomer comes out the locker room, and what does he say as always?
Oh, Daddy's looking good today. It's all about me.
Yes. Hey, for more news and notes from around the league, we welcome in our NFL Today insider, Jason Lockenfor, with some late-breaking news regarding the Patriots.
Yeah, not looking great for Gronk. He will not play today with a back injury. The Patriots will know more about its severity next week. There's still no date set for Joey Bosa's return. The Chargers are hopeful he recovers from a preseason foot injury, but there's no guarantee Bosa will avoid surgery, I'm told. He'll be reevaluated next week to find out. Broncos coach Vance Joseph and QB Case Keenum remain on the hot seat despite Thursday's win. Joseph would have been fired with a loss, sources said, and Emmanuel Sanders and Chris Harris are drawing heavy trade interest as Denver contemplates a rebuild. John Elway wants to see second-year QB Chad Kelly play ahead of the draft, I'm told. Elway's also been scouting Oregon QB Justin Herbert, the potential first overall pick. However, multiple league sources indicated that Herbert, almost certain to stay in school for his senior year, that would be a big blow to several NFL teams, JP.
And you talk about a top-flight quarterback. How about Philip Rivers? He's thrown multiple TD passes in 7 straight games, a streak that dates back, of course, to last season. It's the longest active streak of that kind in the NFL this year.
Coming up on the NFL Today, the Dallas-Washington rivalry is one of the greatest in sports. And with first place in the NFC East on the line, today's showdown in our nation's capital should be fierce. The talent will be running wild on CBS in Week 7 as the NFL's top backs, both old and new, look to carry their teams to Sunday glory. And football fans on the other side of the pond can get, shall we say, animated. So get ready for our very British take on the NFL's history in London. All that and more when the NFL Today returns on CBS, the home of Super Bowl 53. The NFL Today on CBS Sports is powered by Ram Trucks.
You're probably Buffalo leads at 13-6 at the half.
I remember Jimmy Johnson saying, "We're going to get you the football this half." And I'm like, okay, I'm ready. I've been sitting on ready, waiting on go. And our first series, they called 7 straight run plays. Right then and there, you could see the wind just leave that football team.
Touchdown, Evan Smith. Oh, what a run by the league's MVP.
It was just one of those moments that says, yes, this is our Super Bowl, and you're not going to get this one.
And we are counting down to Super Bowl 53. That'll be coming your way February 3rd in Atlanta right here on CBS. And who could forget the performance by the Cowboys' great Emmitt Smith, who was named MVP of Super Bowl 28 in Atlanta. And time now for Golden Moments, brought to you by McDonald's. And speaking of the Cowboys, it's been 25 years since Dallas and Washington last played on CBS. The boys were en route to their second straight Super Bowl when they faced Washington in Week 17 at home.
One of the great rivalries in the National Football League, the Washington Redskins and the Dallas Cowboys. Smith breaking away. There he goes again. Emmitt Smith, look out. And again, it's Smith. Smith this time in. Touchdown, Dallas Cowboys. Aikman looking for Irvin. Touchdown, Dallas. Toward the end zone. Caught. Touchdown, Dallas. Russell, Maryland with the Cowboys' first sack. And Rippon sacked at the 14th. Holbert almost untouched for the 3rd Cowboys sack. Sanders intercepted. This is over.
Boy, Jim Nantz with the call of that game. And you know what? That game was a blowout. So the question is, do we expect a closer game today with first place in the NFC East on the line?
Oh, yeah, I expect an NFC East knockdown dragout, and Jason Garrett, I think that's what he's expecting too. Last week, he was under a lot of pressure, not going for it on 4th and 1 the week before they lost. The offensive coordinator, no creativity. Dak Prescott, he's nothing but a backup quarterback, but they came through with a great win. And let me say this about Dallas. Their defense is good and getting better. And why? Because their defensive line, it's deep, it's active, it's disruptive. And here's the big thing. They got speed at linebacker. Sean Lee's back today, and they need it. Why? because Washington throws a lot of short passes. They can make the tackle.
You know what? They got speed at quarterback, too, and that's what I saw last week. And I think that's what all Cowboy fans saw last week. Dak Prescott got involved. He got involved throwing the ball. He was accurate last week, made some nice throws. But how about some of these runs? And this is part of his game that had been missing from the previous weeks. And I think Scott Linehan asked him to do a little bit more run-pass option like this right here. This is exactly the player that he has to be for the Dallas Cowboys. It's a huge opportunity for them to get a win on the road today in Washington.
And let's not forget the Washington Redskins. They were embarrassed on Monday night down in New Orleans. They came back last week against a very good Carolina football team and won. And now Alex Smith, I know he doesn't have some of his receivers, but he still has Vernon Davis. He's got Jordan Reed. He's got the ageless Adrian Peterson running with the football. It is a football team, again, that they can take hold of this first place. And for the Dallas Cowboys, they have not been the same team on the road. They've only averaged 12 points a game on the road. Yep. They're not the same team when you take them out of Dallas.
Well, you don't have to be mad about it.
Oh, man. Hey, Coach, your guy.
Yeah, being mad. How about Matt Vrabel? You can't take the player out of the coach right there. You see with Daquan Jones before a game. There's the linebacker that played at Ohio State.
Phil says he's mad. Hey, folks, a reminder, they're getting ready in London, where in just about 20 minutes from now, the Tennessee Titans will face off against the LA Chargers at the famed Wembley Stadium. Titans, Chargers coming up in just a bit. Time now to go inside the pregame HQ, delivered by Domino's.
Touchdown, Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley, too fast, too strong.
Zeke getting fed right here. It's his time in the game to close it out.
Elliott taken off, untouched.
You can't give him the ball enough.
The electrifying Todd Gurley.
Elliott is a beast.
Best in the nation. I'm going to tell you that every time.
So the league's top two rushers have been on fire to start the season, and they will aim to continue running wild, if you will, in their matchups today on CBS. But they're not the only running backs having great seasons.
Yeah, a lot of good running backs in the NFL right now, James. You know, Sony Michel up in New England, people not paying attention to him. First off, he brings speed to their offense, which they need. And last week, they lined up in the I formation against Kansas City, and Kansas City's probably going, what is this? We haven't seen an I formation all year. You don't see it in the NFL. But he can run between the tackles. He gives them physicality, which Bill Belichick always wants. Then he has a partner in James White, who's like a wide receiver who can catch the football.
You know, too bad we're not going to see Melvin Gordon against the Titans today, because he's a terrific young running back. But we will see his backup, Austin Eckler, and it goes to show you why it's important to at least have two really good running backs. So one thing about New England, I will say, they let Nate Solder go. They let Dion Lewis go. They replaced them with Sony Michel and Trent Brown. That's a $21 million difference in the salary cap. That, I think, tells you just how important Bill Belichick is, not only as a coach, but as a guy who runs the football program up there. Yeah.
He really does, Boom. You're talking about he never lets a player get to his latter stage of his career, and he always is moving forward. But when you talk about this game moving forward, James White, Sony Michel, but look at the two on the other side. You're talking about Jordan Howard and Tariq Cohen. I think a lot of times we're seeing these top runners because they don't have another person. It takes a tandem in this league, and the one thing about having a tandem of running backs, they're fresher at the end of the season when you want them to be at their best for the playoffs.
Yeah. Hey, fellas, and as we all know, the NFL lost another distinguished member this past week with the passing of Paul Allen, co-founder of Microsoft. He literally changed the world with that global giant. When the Seahawks seemed headed for LA under previous ownership, he purchased the team, kept them in Seattle, and they became winners, appearing in 3 Super Bowls and winning the title in Super Bowl 48. A generous philanthropist, he never sought media attention, allowing the people he hired to bask in the spotlight of success. A true team player. And we here at CBS Sports send along our prayers and condolences to his family and friends. Paul Allen was 65.
The NFL Today is sponsored by WeatherTech, the ultimate American-made vehicle protection. Jersey Mike Subs, be a sub above. And by Ram Trucks.
22 games have been played in London so far as part of the NFL's International Series, and oh, what a history it has been.
Hello, my American friends, and we welcome you once again across the pond, home to the real Big Ben, Parliament, and of course our NFL royal family, the Jaguars. That's right, we've given you carpool karaoke, and you've given us American football, and we love it. Only 5 of your 32 teams have yet to play in the UK, and while you may think that coming all this way is quite exhausting, last year it had no effect on the Saints, the Vikings, the Jaguars, and even from 8 time zones away, the Rams, who all claimed victory, 8 bangers and mash, and went on to the postseason. In fact, the first ever game in Great Britain was in 2007 and featured that season's eventual Super Bowl champion, the New York Giants. Oh, the good old days, Eli. And today we welcome back another one of your superior slingers, Sir Philip Rivers, who ever since the Queen celebrated her 90th has been the NFL's most prolific TD passer. Just marvelous. And of course, we look forward to saying our first cheerio to your team of Titans and assure you Sherlock Santonio Holmes is on the case of your missing offensive line. It's elementary, Deshaun Watson. Ha! So enjoy the game and Bob's your uncle. Go on, look it up.
Time now for the NFL Today picks presented by FedEx, Bill.
I would just say, as a judge of that cartoon, I sentenced Phil to 10 seconds or less with all his comments.
Oh, wow. I thought it would be worse than that.
And speaking of upset specials for Week 7.
I feel special. I get to go first today here. Giants over Atlanta. I'm staying with the Giants one more time. This is the week Eli, Saquon Barkley, and OBJ get it done against the
I got the Washington Redskins over to the Dallas Cowboys. As I said earlier, the Dallas Cowboys are not the same when they're away from home.
Well, neither are the New England Patriots. They score over 30 points at home, only 15 points on the road, and they're without Gronkowski today. A big task going against a Bears defense that was embarrassing.
All right, and a reminder, go to NFL.com/FedEx. Cast your vote for the FedEx Air and Ground NFL Players of the Week. Don't forget to follow along. See all of our weekly picks at CBSSports.com/FedEx. By the way, Freddie Shimizu is winning that. Kickoff of the Titans and Chargers from London coming up. We'll get you out to Wembley Stadium coming up in just a bit. You know what? Phil definitely had a conversation with Drew Kaliski. He started first in every segment. We'll see you back later next.